because she's a black woman, or at least I thought she was. She clearly has black children. So are you saying you don't mind your children growing up in a society where they cannot be taught black history?
And Nicki makes a lot of cash. Not as much as Michael Dell.
Nicki Minaj has many, many issues that would lead one to believe that those issues are possibly the reason that she's cozying up to MAGA right.
Nicki don't need to worry about Don. She need to be with Don Lemon, and Nicki Minaj needs to be worried about Chris Hansen. That's what she needs to be worried about.
Nicki Minaj has stepped into what many people are calling her full MAGA phase, and the backlash from black celebrities has been loud, messy, and impossible to ignore. Over the past few weeks, she didn't just drop subtle hints, she went full blast, making her political stance crystal clear, and folks across the culture are not feeling it at all. Big names have spoken up, side-eyed her choices, and openly wondered what caused such a sharp turn. People are especially confused because this version of Nicki feels completely different from the one they remember during Trump's first term, when she was openly critical and not shy about saying it. Back then, she was dragging Trump hard, calling him dangerous, and even throwing shade at celebrities who supported him, basically saying she could never be one of them. At a Pollstar Live conference in 2020, when asked about Trump, she made it clear she wasn't hopping on that bandwagon. She said, "I don't like that, Nicki. I get that a lot of people don't like him for obvious reasons, but what stuck with me was the children being taken away from their parents when they came into this country." That moment stuck with many fans because it sounded personal, emotional, and rooted in her own immigrant story. She continued, "That really bothered me because I was one of those immigrant children coming to America to flee poverty." Fast forward to now, and people are stunned because the tone has flipped completely. Nicki is now out here proudly calling herself Trump's #1 fan and even claiming he's the greatest president the country has ever had. For many watching, it feels less like a small shift and more like a total plot twist that nobody saw coming, and the internet has been on fire ever since.
Hello guys, I'm with my favorite president, the best president of all time.
And I'm with the queen of rap.
As you can imagine, the reaction from other black celebrities hasn't just been quiet disappointment. It's been loud, public, and brutally honest. Many of them are straight up calling Nicki out for what they see as hypocrisy, flip-flopping, and turning her back on the very community that helped build her empire. Critics are saying this isn't just a political opinion, it feels personal, like a betrayal of her fan base, her culture, and even the values she once spoke about so passionately. Comedian DL Hughley didn't hold back at all. He fired off a sharp jab, saying Nicki Minaj shouldn't be posting about kids when her husband legally can't be within 1,000 feet of one. Then he added, "It ain't Gavin Newsom she should be worried about, it's Chris Hansen." That comment was a clear reference to the infamous To Catch a Predator series, and it instantly sent social media into chaos. People knew exactly what he was implying, and the clip spread like wildfire within hours. Online critics also started bringing up uncomfortable details from Nicki's personal life, pointing out that both her brother and her husband have serious criminal convictions involving minors. Supporters say dragging family into political arguments crosses a line, while others argue public figures invite scrutiny when they step into controversial territory. Either way, the conversation turned explosive fast, and the focus shifted from politics to personal controversy almost overnight. Another major issue fans keep raising is her relationship with the LGBTQ+ community. For years, that fan base showed up heavy for Nicki, buying albums, packing concerts, and defending her online like loyal soldiers. Now, critics say her recent comments and tone feel hostile and dismissive, which many longtime supporters find hurtful and confusing. Some fans say it feels like being abandoned by an artist they stood behind for over a decade. Reality TV icon Tiffany Pollard, also known as New York, spoke to TMZ and did not tiptoe around the issue one bit. She said Nicki supporting Trump feels like a slap in the face to LGBTQ+ fans who've been riding for her for years. Tiffany made it clear that people still respect Nicki's talent and love her music, but they're deeply uncomfortable with the energy she's been putting out lately. According to her, the vibe has shifted in a way that's hard to ignore. Still, Tiffany wasn't calling for cancellation. She suggested maybe Nicki just needs to be around more progressive influences, even name-dropping rock legend Bruce Springsteen as the kind of voice that could balance things out. Whether that advice lands or not, one thing is clear: this situation has turned into a full-blown cultural storm, and everyone seems to have an opinion.
Nicki, you know, we love her music. I've spoken to her several times. You know, collectively, I feel like we were a little bit disappointed with her, but I feel like she needs to spend a lot of time with Mr. Bruce Springsteen. She needs to go sit on his lap and let him speak some words of wisdom to her heart. Because somebody got her off track and she needs guidance back home.
This whole situation exploded to another level when people started saying Nicki had crossed a serious line with her LGBTQ+ fans. The outrage really took off after she went after Don Lemon, who's openly gay, during a heated online back and forth. Critics say the language she used came off as disrespectful and hurtful, and that's when the backlash turned from loud to absolutely deafening. Social media lit up instantly, with fans, activists, and fellow celebrities all weighing in at once, turning it into a full-blown digital firestorm. For many longtime supporters, this wasn't just another celebrity feud, it felt personal. People kept pointing out how heavily her career was supported by LGBTQ+ listeners from the very beginning, the same fans who helped turn her into a global superstar. So when this clash happened, it hit differently, like a betrayal rather than just drama. Comment sections filled up with emotional reactions, disappointment, and a lot of confusion about why things escalated so fast. But Don Lemon wasn't about to sit back and let the moment pass. He fired back with his own sharp response, and it immediately grabbed headlines. Instead of focusing only on the insult, he flipped the spotlight right back onto Nicki's personal situation. According to him, she should be more concerned about her own legal status in the United States than picking fights online. That single statement poured gasoline on an already raging fire and sent the conversation spiraling in a completely new direction. What made his response especially explosive was the implication behind it. Lemon pointed out that Nicki was born outside the US, bringing up questions about citizenship and immigration status, topics that are already super sensitive on their own. Supporters called his comeback savage and justified, while others said it went too far and dragged private matters into public drama. Either way, the internet did what it always does: pick sides and go to war in the comments. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about politics or fandom anymore. It became a messy mix of identity, loyalty, personal history, and celebrity power struggles. News outlets, bloggers, and reaction channels all jumped in, each adding their own spin, which only made the situation feel bigger and messier by the hour. Screenshots, clips, and hot takes flooded timelines non-stop, making it nearly impossible to escape the drama even if you tried. Meanwhile, some fans pleaded for everyone to cool down, arguing that the situation had spiraled way beyond the original disagreement. Others insisted this was a necessary conversation about accountability and respect, especially when public figures use their platforms to speak on sensitive issues. No matter where people stood, one thing was undeniable: this clash turned what was already a controversial moment into a headline-dominating spectacle that kept growing louder instead of fading away. At this point, the feud didn't just look like celebrity gossip anymore. It felt like a cultural showdown playing out in real time, with every new comment threatening to spark an even bigger explosion.
Disgusting. Look, this is what I'll say to Nicki Minaj. I normally don't respond to things like this, but, F it. I'm going to do it this time. I think Nicki Minaj has made it very clear how she feels about African Americans in this country. I don't think she's one of them, obviously. And she should, under Trump's rules, she should be deported, because I don't think, reportedly, that she is a legal citizen here. She is undocumented. And so she has shown her disdain for African Americans. So why are you supporting her? Why are you buying her records? She's also supporting, I have lots of gay friends who love Nicki Minaj. Why are you supporting this homophobic, bigoted, ignorant
This whole situation exploded to another level when people started saying Nicki had crossed a serious line with her LGBTQ+ fans. The outrage really took off after she went after Don Lemon, who's openly gay, during a heated online back and forth. Critics say the language she used came off as disrespectful and hurtful, and that's when the backlash turned from loud to absolutely deafening. Social media lit up instantly, with fans, activists, and fellow celebrities all weighing in at once, turning it into a full-blown digital firestorm. For many longtime supporters, this wasn't just another celebrity feud, it felt personal. People kept pointing out how heavily her career was supported by LGBTQ+ listeners from the very beginning, the same fans who helped turn her into a global superstar. So when this clash happened, it hit differently, like a betrayal rather than just drama. Comment sections filled up with emotional reactions, disappointment, and a lot of confusion about why things escalated so fast. But Don Lemon wasn't about to sit back and let the moment pass. He fired back with his own sharp response, and it immediately grabbed headlines. Instead of focusing only on the insult, he flipped the spotlight right back onto Nicki's personal situation. According to him, she should be more concerned about her own legal status in the United States than picking fights online. That single statement poured gasoline on an already raging fire and sent the conversation spiraling in a completely new direction. What made his response especially explosive was the implication behind it. Lemon pointed out that Nicki was born outside the US, bringing up questions about citizenship and immigration status, topics that are already super sensitive on their own. Supporters called his comeback savage and justified, while others said it went too far and dragged private matters into public drama. Either way, the internet did what it always does, pick sides and go to war in the comments. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about politics or fandom anymore. It became a messy mix of identity, loyalty, personal history, and celebrity power struggles. News outlets, bloggers, and reaction channels all jumped in, each adding their own spin, which only made the situation feel bigger and messier by the hour. Screenshots, clips, and hot takes flooded timelines non-stop, making it nearly impossible to escape the drama even if you tried. Meanwhile, some fans pleaded for everyone to cool down, arguing that the situation had spiraled way beyond the original disagreement. Others insisted this was a necessary conversation about accountability and respect, especially when public figures use their platforms to speak on sensitive issues. No matter where people stood, one thing was undeniable. This clash turned what was already a controversial moment into a headline-dominating spectacle that kept growing louder instead of fading away. At this point, the feud didn't just look like celebrity gossip anymore. It felt like a cultural showdown playing out in real time, with every new comment threatening to spark an even bigger explosion.
There was a whole scene that unfolded at this church.
Right.
You saw this, right? Nicki Minaj going after Don Lemon. You see this, like for
Nicki Minaj,
for reporting
it was so funny to me. People hate. It's so funny how many other writers hate. They hate transgender and gay people more than they do pedophiles. That's amazing to me. Nicki don't need to worry about Don. She need to be with damn Don Lemon, and Nicki Minaj need to be worried about Chris Hansen.
Reports started swirling that the Carters, especially Beyoncé, have quietly stepped back from Nicki, and that rumor alone sent shockwaves through the industry. According to insiders, the relationship has cooled dramatically, with some claiming Beyoncé is deeply disappointed watching everything unfold in real time. Fans immediately connected the dots, pointing out how rare it is for Beyoncé to publicly distance herself from anyone unless something serious is going on behind the scenes. People online began comparing the situation to when Kanye West embraced MAGA, saying this feels like history repeating itself, another major black superstar stepping into controversial political territory and splitting the culture right down the middle. Critics say Beyoncé is trying to protect her brand, her message, and her legacy, while supporters argue she simply doesn't want to be associated with non-stop online drama. Either way, the silence between them has been loud enough for fans to notice. Some reports claim Beyoncé is saddened seeing Nicki's image shift from chart-dominating powerhouse to someone constantly trending for heated posts and political takes. Words like crash outs and meltdown era have been thrown around online, painting a picture of a star whose public persona feels more volatile than ever. Whether that's fair or exaggerated, the perception alone has fueled endless debate across social media platforms. Then Dr. Umar Johnson entered the conversation, and suddenly the tone shifted from celebrity gossip to something much more analytical. Instead of roasting Nicki or picking sides in the feud, he offered a theory about the bigger political chessboard behind it all. According to Umar, this isn't random controversy. He believes powerful political movements strategically elevate certain voices to represent them publicly, especially high-profile figures with massive audiences. His argument was that Nicki could be positioned as a new prominent Black conservative female voice, particularly at a time when other figures in that space have distanced themselves from Trump on certain issues. That take immediately sparked intense debate, with some people calling it insightful and others dismissing it as overthinking the situation. Still, it added a whole new layer to the story that went way beyond celebrity drama. What's undeniable is that the conversation has grown way bigger than one artist or one tweet. It's now tangled up with questions of influence, loyalty, representation, and who gets to speak for whom in the public sphere. Each new opinion, whether from celebrities, commentators, or fans, keeps the spotlight blazing hot and the tension sky high. At this point, the situation feels less like a passing scandal and more like a cultural moment unfolding in real time, with alliances shifting, narratives forming, and everyone watching to see what happens next. One move, one post, one statement could flip everything again overnight, and that unpredictability is exactly why nobody can look away. Dr. Umar didn't stop at broad political theories. He zoomed in on a specific moment that, in his view, said everything about how far things have shifted. He said he was genuinely stunned seeing Nicki appear at a Turning Point USA event alongside Erica Keeker, especially during a segment discussing how teaching Black history in schools could supposedly make white children feel uncomfortable or less valued. That clip spread fast online, and reactions poured in from every direction almost instantly. For Umar, this wasn't just another celebrity appearance. He framed it as a symbolic moment. He argued that hearing those talking points from someone with Nicki's background felt jarring and contradictory. In his view, acknowledging history isn't about diminishing anyone. It's about understanding the full story. His comments struck a nerve because they tapped into a much larger national debate that's already extremely heated. He pushed back forcefully, saying it was shocking to watch Nicki repeat ideas that many educators and historians strongly dispute. According to Umar, teaching accurate history should empower students, not divide them, and he questioned why such narratives gain traction in political spaces. His tone wasn't playful or sarcastic like some other critics. It was serious, almost disappointed, which made the clip feel heavier than the usual celebrity back and forth. Umar also brought up the fact that Nicki is raising a Black child, arguing that representation and cultural awareness matter even more in that context. He suggested that public figures influence not just fans, but also younger generations watching from home, which raises the stakes of what they say on big stages. Supporters of Umar praised him for addressing the issue from a community perspective rather than just turning it into gossip. Of course, Nicki's fans fired back immediately, saying she has the right to attend any event and express her views without being policed. Some argued that reducing her appearance to a single controversial clip ignores the complexity of her life and career. Others insisted that celebrities shouldn't be expected to represent entire communities or political positions just because of who they are. Meanwhile, commentators pointed out that Turning Point USA events are designed to spark exactly this kind of reaction, bringing together high-profile speakers to energize supporters and dominate headlines. In that sense, Nicki's appearance achieved maximum impact. Whether people agreed with her or not, everyone was talking about it. The footage circulated non-stop across platforms, analyzed frame by frame like it was breaking news. What makes this moment especially explosive is how it intersects with ongoing conversations about education, identity, and political messaging, all at once. It's no longer just about one artist's opinions, it's about what those opinions represent in a much bigger cultural struggle playing out nationwide. Every new reaction adds another layer, making the story feel more complicated instead of clearer. At the end of the day, Umar's criticism didn't quiet the situation, it amplified it. His comments gave critics fresh talking points, energized supporters on both sides, and kept Nicki's name locked at the center of a debate that shows no signs of cooling down anytime soon. Whether people see it as concern, outrage, or overreaction, one thing is certain: that appearance turned into one of the most talked about flashpoints in this entire saga. As the fallout kept spreading, more celebrities, commentators, and even political figures started circling the situation, turning what began as a few spicy headlines into a non-stop media storm. Every day seemed to bring a new reaction, a new clip, or a new opinion piece dissecting Nicki's words, her alliances, and what it all supposedly means for the culture. It wasn't just entertainment news anymore. It had crossed fully into mainstream conversation, popping up on talk shows, podcasts, and even panel debates. Fans were split right down the middle, and neither side was backing down. One camp argued that Nicki has every right to evolve, speak her mind, and support whoever she wants without being owned by any group. They pointed out that artists aren't politicians and shouldn't be forced into ideological boxes just because of who their audience is. To them, the outrage felt like an attempt to control her voice, and they rallied behind her louder than ever. On the other hand, critics insisted this wasn't about silencing her, it was about accountability. For these fans, the frustration came from feeling blindsided, like the person they supported for years no longer represented the same energy or values. That emotional disconnect fueled endless debates that kept boiling over across social media platforms. Meanwhile, industry insiders began whispering about potential professional consequences. Would brand deals quietly disappear? Would collaborations become harder to secure? Some analysts suggested companies prefer stability, not controversy, especially when public sentiment is unpredictable. Others countered that controversy can actually boost visibility, keeping an artist constantly in the spotlight. And in today's attention economy, visibility is power. Another surprising twist was how this drama started overshadowing the music itself. New releases, chart milestones, and career achievements suddenly took a back seat to political commentary and personal feuds. Longtime fans complained that the narrative around Nicki had shifted from artistry to argument, which they found frustrating. They wanted to talk about beats and bars, not battle lines and headlines. At the same time, a quieter group of observers urged everyone to step back, suggesting the internet's outrage cycle amplifies everything to extremes. They noted how quickly public opinion can swing from praise to condemnation and back again, especially when algorithms reward the most emotional reactions. In that view, the situation says as much about online culture as it does about any single celebrity. Still, the tension hasn't eased. If anything, it feels like the story is stuck in a holding pattern, waiting for the next major move. A statement, an interview, a performance, or even a single tweet could reset the entire narrative overnight. Both supporters and critics are watching closely, analyzing every appearance for clues about what comes next. One thing is clear, this saga has grown far beyond a simple disagreement. It has become a symbol of deeper divides about politics, identity, celebrity influence, and loyalty in the digital age. And until something definitive happens, the noise isn't fading. It's humming in the background, ready to roar back to full volume at any moment.
I believe that Donald Trump and the conservative movement in this country selected Nicki Minaj because they needed a replacement for Candace Owens. Remember, Candace Owens has fallen out of favor with the Republican Party and the mainstream conservative white agenda because she's now exposing the Zionist control of the conservative movement and of the United States government. In fact, Art, I would argue that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, I believe, by the Zionist movement. We're going to distance ourselves from Candace, and this is Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and the mainstream white conservative movement. We got to find another black woman. We got to find another black woman who can compete with Candace Owens nationally and internationally to bring attention away from Candace Owens, who is highlighting the Israeli influence on American politics. And so who better to use than Nicki Minaj?
Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. Would Nicki respond directly or just let the noise burn itself out? Instead of going silent, she did what she always does. She posted, and the internet practically exploded on impact. Her messages were cryptic, emotional, and defiant all at once, hinting that she felt misunderstood, attacked, and unfairly targeted. Supporters flooded her comments with hearts and fire emojis, while critics dissected every sentence like it was a coded message. In her posts, she pushed the idea that people were trying to control her thoughts and punish her for not following the crowd. She framed herself as independent, fearless, and unwilling to be bullied into silence, which instantly energized her core fan base. To them, this wasn't a fall from grace. It was their queen standing 10 toes down under pressure. The more backlash she received, the more fiercely they defended her. But critics weren't convinced. Many argued that framing the situation as persecution avoided the actual concerns people were raising. They said this wasn't about forcing conformity, but about reconciling past statements with current actions. That disconnect kept fueling the conversation because every new post seemed to raise as many questions as it answered. Meanwhile, other celebrities started moving more cautiously, careful not to get pulled into the blast radius. Some quietly unfollowed, some stayed silent, and a few offered vague, love and light comments that could be interpreted either way. It felt like watching a room full of people slowly back away from a ticking clock, unsure who might get caught in the next wave of controversy. Media outlets kept the spotlight blazing, replaying old interviews, resurfacing past tweets, and building timelines of how everything escalated. The narrative shifted from "what did she say?" to "how did we get here?" Analysts debated whether this would permanently reshape her public image or simply become another dramatic chapter in a long, unpredictable career. After all, pop culture has a short memory. Today's scandal can become tomorrow's footnote. Through it all, one uncomfortable reality hovered in the background. Controversy doesn't just damage reputations, it also keeps people relevant. Every argument, every reaction video, every headline kept her name trending, which in the entertainment world can translate into streams, views, and attention. Some observers even suggested that outrage and visibility are now tangled together in a way that modern fame almost impossible to separate from drama. Fans who just wanted the music found themselves caught in the crossfire, trying to celebrate old hits while timelines filled with political arguments and personal attacks. For them, the situation felt exhausting, like the fun had been replaced with tension. Still, many held on to hope that eventually the focus would return to what made them fans in the first place. As the dust refuses to settle, one question hangs in the air louder than all the noise. Is this a temporary storm or a permanent turning point? Because in today's hyper-connected world, reputations don't just evolve, they transform in real time, under millions of watching eyes. And whatever happens next, it's guaranteed to be big, messy, and impossible to ignore. Just when it felt like the situation might finally cool off, another wave of drama crashed in and pulled everything back into chaos. Old clips, forgotten interviews, and years-old tweets started resurfacing at lightning speed, with people digging through Nicki's entire history to find anything that could support their side. It turned into a full-blown internet excavation, where every past statement was treated like evidence in a trial playing out in public view. Some of the resurfaced moments showed a very different Nicki, outspoken against certain policies, passionate about social issues, and fiercely protective of her community. Critics used those clips to argue that her current stance contradicts her own words, while supporters insisted people grow, change, and don't owe anyone permanent ideological loyalty. The debate became less about one event and more about whether public figures are allowed to evolve without being accused of betrayal. At the same time, reaction channels and streamers jumped on the topic, turning the controversy into hours of live discussions, panel arguments, and breakdown videos. Titles got more dramatic by the day, thumbnails got louder, and the algorithm kept pushing the story to anyone who had even glanced at it once. It felt less like a news cycle and more like a non-stop reality show that refused to end. Behind the scenes, industry watchers started asking a different question. How will this affect her long-term legacy? Nicki isn't just another celebrity. She's one of the most influential female rappers of her generation, with records, awards, and cultural impact that can't be erased overnight. Some analysts argued that scandals fade, but catalogs last forever, while others warned that public perception can reshape how history remembers even the biggest stars. Meanwhile, her core fan base remained fiercely loyal, organizing streaming parties, trending hashtags, and positive campaigns to counter the negativity. They framed the backlash as proof that she's powerful enough to shake the system just by speaking. That sense of us against the world only strengthened their bond, making them louder, prouder, and more protective than ever. On the flip side, former fans continued voicing disappointment, saying they still love the music but feel emotionally disconnected from the person behind it now. That bittersweet tone, admiration mixed with frustration, became one of the most common reactions across platforms. It wasn't pure hate, it was something messier and more complicated, which made the conversation harder to resolve. Even casual observers who don't follow celebrity news closely started hearing about it, proof of just how far the story had traveled. When drama jumps from niche fandom spaces into everyday conversations, you know it has reached critical mass. At that point, it stops being about one artist and starts reflecting broader tensions simmering across society. Now, the spotlight is locked in place, waiting for the next decisive move. A major interview, a public appearance, new music, or a complete disappearance from the timeline. Any of those could shift the narrative instantly. Until then, the tension just hangs there, thick and electric, like the calm before another thunderclap that everyone knows is coming sooner or later. As the weeks dragged on, one question kept echoing louder than all the noise. What happens next for Nicki Minaj? Because scandals in the celebrity world don't just disappear. They either explode into something bigger or slowly reshape a career in ways you can't undo. Insiders started speculating about whether she would address everything in one major interview, drop a statement, or let her music do the talking. Every public move suddenly felt loaded with meaning, like fans and critics were reading tea leaves for clues. Rumors even started swirling about new music possibly being on the way, which only intensified the suspense. Some believed a powerful comeback track could flip the narrative overnight, turning controversy into momentum. After all, Nicki has built a reputation on dominating attention and bending chaos into chart success. Others weren't so sure this time, arguing that political drama hits differently than typical celebrity feuds. Meanwhile, brands and business partners reportedly watched from the sidelines, calculating risks. In today's climate, companies move carefully, balancing profit with public perception. A single viral moment can spark boycotts or backlash, so silence from corporate collaborators spoke volumes to industry watchers. Whether that silence meant concern or just caution was anyone's guess, but it added another layer of uncertainty. Fans also started debating whether this era would redefine her image permanently or become just another wild chapter in a long career full of reinventions. Some pointed out that Nicki has weathered storms before, rivalries, controversies, industry clashes, and still come out on top. Others felt this situation touched deeper cultural nerves, making it harder to simply move on like nothing happened. Interestingly, a quieter counter-narrative began forming among supporters, who argued that the constant outrage cycle says more about the internet than about Nicki herself. They claimed social media thrives on conflict, amplifying extremes while drowning out nuance. In that view, the storm could burn bright and then vanish once the algorithm finds a new target, leaving reality far less dramatic than the headlines suggest. Still, the tension hasn't fully broken. Every time her name trends, people brace for another twist, a surprise appearance, a controversial post, or a major announcement that could reset everything in seconds. It feels like the story is balancing on a knife's edge, waiting for one decisive moment to push it toward redemption or further chaos. Through it all, one undeniable truth remains. Nicki Minaj is still at the center of attention, whether people are cheering or criticizing. In the modern fame machine, visibility itself is power, and few artists command it as effortlessly as she does. Love her or question her, nobody is ignoring her, and that alone keeps the spotlight blazing hot. So now the world watches, refresh button ready, waiting to see which direction this saga will turn next. Will it end in reconciliation, reinvention, or even bigger controversy? With a personality as unpredictable and larger than life as Nicki's, the only safe bet is that whatever comes next won't be quiet, subtle, or boring. It'll be headline-shaking, timeline-dominating, and impossible to look away from.
Correct, but she says something to the effect that it's not just that we tell Black children to feel proud of themselves, but it's like we're doing that, and at the same time, we're telling other children not to feel proud of themselves. And so I guess she was alluding to this false narrative that the conservatives are putting out there, that teaching Black children Black history and teaching white children the true history of America is somehow going to make white children feel bad about themselves. That bothered me because she's a Black woman, or at least I thought she was. She clearly has Black children. So are you saying you don't mind your children growing up in a society where they cannot be taught Black history or the true history of America because some people feel it offends the self-esteem of white children? And this is so hypocritical, Art, because we've been in America 400 years at least under British North American control. And look at how the self-esteem and self-worth and self-value of Black children has been and continues to be compromised for the benefit of the white child. And yet you're telling me that to implement a curriculum of corrective history where you're not insulting white people, you're not denigrating white people, you're simply making sure white children understand that the foundation of this country was laid and built and cemented on the genocide of Native Americans and the enslavement of African people. And not just the enslavement of African people, the dehumanization of African.
Then another unexpected twist started bubbling up. Whispers that people close to Nicki were urging her to step back, log off, and let the storm pass before it did more damage. Sources claimed friends and industry allies were worried that constant posting was only pouring gasoline on an already raging fire. In the age of screenshots and screen recordings, nothing disappears, and every late-night message can become tomorrow's headline in seconds. Some observers noticed subtle changes, like fewer direct confrontations and more vague, reflective posts, which sparked fresh speculation that she might be recalibrating behind the scenes. Was this a strategic retreat or just a temporary pause? Nobody knew for sure, but the shift was enough to get people talking again. Even silence, when you're this famous, becomes a statement loud enough to trend. Meanwhile, rival fan bases and critics kept the pressure on, dissecting everything from her body language and public appearances to the tone of her captions. It became almost forensic, like people were searching for hidden clues about her mental state, her plans, or whether she felt regret. Supporters pushed back hard against that narrative, saying she was being unfairly scrutinized in ways few other artists would be. At the same time, sympathy started creeping into parts of the conversation. Some commentators argued that the nonstop pile-on had crossed from criticism into harassment, pointing out how exhausting it must be to live under a microscope 24/7. They reminded audiences that behind the celebrity persona is still a human being, dealing with intense pressure, expectations, and judgment from millions of strangers. Others weren't ready to soften their stance, insisting that influence comes with responsibility and that powerful voices should expect intense scrutiny. This tug-of-war between empathy and accountability kept the debate alive, ensuring there was never a clear resolution. Every new opinion just reopened the argument from a slightly different angle. Behind the curtain, industry insiders wondered whether a major reset was being planned. A carefully staged interview, a surprise collaboration, or even a rebrand designed to shift focus back to music and performance. Big careers rarely move without strategy, and many believed something deliberate was brewing out of sight. The calm before a carefully engineered storm, some called it. Fans, meanwhile, kept replaying old performances, interviews, and iconic moments, reminding everyone why Nicki became a powerhouse in the first place. Nostalgia started blending with uncertainty, creating a strange emotional mix of pride, worry, and anticipation. It felt like watching a legend stand at a crossroads, with no one sure which path she would choose. One thing became crystal clear. This story had outgrown any single controversy. It was now about image, resilience, loyalty, and the unpredictable nature of fame in the digital era. Whether this chapter ends in redemption, reinvention, or deeper division, it's already become one of the most talked about periods of her career. And as the world keeps watching, refreshing timelines and scanning headlines, the sense of suspense only grows thicker. Because with someone as bold, unpredictable, and headline magnetic as Nicki Minaj, the next move isn't just a move, it's an event waiting to detonate across the entire internet. Just when people thought the story had reached its peak, a new layer of speculation started taking over. The idea that this entire era could redefine Nicki's place in pop culture forever. Commentators began asking whether she would emerge from the storm as a rebellious icon who refused to bend, or as a cautionary tale about how fast public favor can shift in the digital age. The stakes suddenly felt bigger than charts or headlines. It was about legacy. Some cultural critics pointed out that Nicki has always thrived on controversy, drama, and shock value, turning chaos into attention and attention into dominance. From rap feuds to headline-grabbing moments, she built a career on being impossible to ignore. But this time, they argued, the conversation isn't just about entertainment. It's tangled up with politics, identity, and real-world issues, which makes it far more volatile than a typical celebrity clash. Meanwhile, younger artists quietly watched from the sidelines, studying how quickly public opinion can turn and how unforgiving online spaces can be. For newcomers, this saga became an unofficial masterclass in both the power and the danger of massive visibility. Fame can lift you to the top overnight, but it can also trap you under a spotlight that never switches off. At the fan level, emotions remained intense and deeply personal. Some supporters framed this period as proof that Nicki is strong enough to withstand anything thrown at her, turning criticism into motivation. Others admitted they felt conflicted, torn between admiration for her talent and discomfort with the ongoing drama. That inner conflict created a strange silence in some spaces, where people didn't want to argue but also couldn't fully celebrate. There were also whispers about whether time itself would be the ultimate decider. In pop culture, memory moves fast. Today's scandal can fade once a new sensation takes over the timeline. If Nicki releases a massive hit, headlines could pivot instantly. If she stays quiet too long, the narrative might harden into something more permanent. It's a high-stakes waiting game with no guaranteed outcome. Analysts noted that artists at her level rarely disappear, they transform. Reinvention has saved countless careers, sometimes through new sounds, new visuals, or completely different public personas. The question hanging in the air is not whether Nicki will remain relevant, it's what version of Nicki the world will see next. Through it all, one paradox stands out. The same spotlight that creates pressure also keeps her at the center of conversation. Even criticism keeps her name circulating, her influence intact, and her presence undeniable. In the attention economy, being talked about, for better or worse, is a form of power few can match. Now the atmosphere feels charged with anticipation, like the seconds before a curtain rises. Fans, critics, and casual observers alike are waiting for the next act, knowing it could reshape everything in an instant. Will it be a triumphant comeback, a dramatic escalation, or a surprising pivot no one predicted? With a figure as bold and unpredictable as Nicki Minaj, one thing is certain, the story isn't ending quietly, and the next chapter could be the loudest one yet. Now, when it comes to why Nicki chose this path, Dr. Umar admitted he doesn't claim to know the exact reason, but he floated a few possibilities that instantly got people talking. He questioned whether the motivation could be financial, strategic, or something more complicated happening behind the scenes. According to him, it's hard to believe such a dramatic shift happens without some kind of incentive or pressure, though he didn't present any proof, just suspicion that something bigger might be at play. Lizzo, however, completely rejected that idea and kept it blunt. She argued there's no mystery at all. In her view, Nicki simply calculated that aligning with Trump is more profitable at this stage of her career. Lizzo suggested that when mainstream momentum slows, some celebrities pivot towards controversial spaces where attention and money can still flow fast. It was a harsh take, and it immediately fueled another round of heated debate online. She even warned that this might not be an isolated case. According to Lizzo, more Black celebrities could follow the same route if they believe it offers renewed visibility or financial upside. She reportedly said, "You're gonna see it. It already started and it's going to continue." predicting a wave of public figures making similar moves once they feel sidelined by the industry. That prediction alone had people arguing nonstop about loyalty, survival, and the price of fame. Meanwhile, fans online cooked up their own theories, and some of them were wild. One user on X wrote, "Nicki Minaj isn't just a sellout, she's bait," framing her actions as part of a larger political strategy rather than a personal choice. Others piled on with long threads analyzing everything from her recent appearances to who she's been photographed with, trying to decode motives like internet detectives on a mission. Then came the roast brigade, and they showed zero mercy. Critics attacked everything: her style, her personal life, even tiny details from public appearances. One harsh comment read, "Nicki Minaj is huge AF. Chopped, washed, dropped in the dust, married to a rapist, a cousin of a murderer, MAGA self-loathing immigrant, and supports Trump. B, pick a struggle, LMAO." The tone across many posts was brutal, messy, and way beyond simple disagreement. Even fashion choices weren't spared. Another user zoomed in on her wig from a Trump-related event and joked, "Oh, you know, the gays have abandoned Nicki Minaj, because why can't I see the glue on that stiff-ass wig?" They added that she ain't never had a bad install before, claiming her look had declined along with the controversy. It was petty, savage, and very on brand for internet drag culture. At this point, the theories range from calculated strategy to genuine belief to pure chaos, and nobody seems to agree on what's real. So now the big question hangs in the air. What do you think is actually going on? Is it money, influence, reinvention, or something else entirely? And do you think she truly stands behind these views, or is she playing a role in a much bigger game? The comment sections everywhere are on fire, and this debate is nowhere near finished.